The Sabbath battle, exposing every last argument against God's commandment. The issue of the Sabbath is not a minor debate. It is a battle between God's law and human tradition. The Bible is crystal clear that the seventh-day Sabbath was never changed by God, but men have tried to replace it with Sunday worship. This study will completely destroy every false reason given to reject the Sabbath and present a final challenge that no skeptic or non-believer can answer. Lie number 5. The church has the authority to change the Sabbath. Some claim that the church has the authority to change the Sabbath because of Jesus' words to Peter. "Thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven." Matthew 16:18-19. But does this mean the church has the authority to change God's law? Absolutely not. The church cannot change what God has established. God warned, "Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it." Deuteronomy 4:2. If the church had the power to change the Sabbath, that would mean man has the power to override God himself. That is blasphemy. The Catholic Church admits they changed the Sabbath. The Roman Catholic Church openly states, "Sunday is our mark of authority." The Church is above the Bible, and this transference of Sabbath observance is proof of that fact. Catholic Record, September 1, 1923. Nowhere in the Bible is it stated that worship should be changed from Saturday to Sunday. We, the Church, made the change from Sabbath to Sunday by our own authority. The Convert's Catechism of Catholic Doctrine, page 50. If even the Catholic Church admits it changed the Sabbath, why do Protestants still follow their tradition instead of the Bible? The ultimate challenge for skeptics. If the Church has the power to change the Sabbath, can it also change the law against murder, adultery, or idolatry? If Jesus gave the Church power to change the Sabbath, why does the Bible say, "I am the Lord, I change not"? Malachi 3:6. If the Sabbath change was commanded by God, why does the Catholic Church admit it was done by man? Lie number 6. We are under grace, not under the law. Many say Christians are saved by grace, not by the law, so the Sabbath doesn't matter anymore. But does grace remove our responsibility to obey God? Paul declares that grace does not abolish the law. Paul directly answered this false claim. Do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid. Yea, we establish the law. Romans 3:31. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under the law, but under grace? God forbid. Romans 6:15. The Bible never says grace gives us permission to break God's law. It says grace gives us the power to obey it. Sin is still defined as breaking the law. The Bible clearly states, sin is the transgression of the law. 1 John 3:4. If sin still exists, that means God's law still exists, including the Sabbath. The ultimate challenge for skeptics. If being under grace means we don't have to keep the Sabbath, does that mean we can also steal, murder, and commit adultery? If grace removes the law, why does Revelation 14:12 describe the saved as those who keep the commandments of God? Why does Paul say we establish the law under faith instead of abolishing it? Lie number 7. The new covenant replaces the Sabbath. Some claim that since Christians are under the new covenant, the Sabbath commandment no longer applies. But what does the Bible actually say? The new covenant writes God's law in our hearts. Instead of abolishing the law, the new covenant puts it inside of us. I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts. Hebrews chapter 8:10. Would God write something into our hearts that no longer matters? No. The new covenant does not change God's law. Jesus confirmed, "If thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments." Matthew 19:17. The new covenant does not replace the Sabbath. It makes obedience a natural part of a transformed heart. Even early Christian leaders admitted the Sabbath was not changed by Jesus. Tertullian, 200 AD, admitted that Sunday worship was based on tradition, not scripture. We observe Sunday instead of Saturday, not because of any biblical command, but from tradition. Eusebius, 325 AD, a church historian, also admitted, "All things that it was duty to do on the Sabbath we have transferred to Sunday." History proves the change was made by man, not by God. The early church slowly moved towards Sunday worship because of Roman influence, not because of a command from Jesus. Conclusion: choose truth or tradition. We ought to obey God rather than men. Acts 5:29. If you love Jesus, you will keep his commandments. John 14:15. The choice is clear. Follow God or follow tradition. What will you choose?